Hello, gamers. Um, so here's the deck, and if you want to copy it down, do so now. With that being said, a couple things to note when you're running this is one, you want to be running a dock with it, and two, you're going to want to be running a wide sweeping melee weapon that attacks fast. So that being the machete, claw, or bat, any of those would work out. We're going to be going into the explanations of it. So first of all, let me tell you the philosophy of the deck. The deck is a melee frontline that is durable and will be stopping commons in the path, and then has some tools to be able to deal with the mutations when they come around. This will be further assisted by our choice of melee weapons. I personally am a fan of any of those three weapons listed earlier, but I really love the bat, especially with the stumble attachment on it. In addition to this, you're going to want the healing attachment on the bat, and then in the other slot, it doesn't really matter. You can choose whatever you desire. I prefer swap speed. Now, a few things to note also before heading into it is one, there's no down in front. When running this, you don't need down in front, because your bashes will be doing enough that if your teammates decide that they need to run through you, like they're coming in to your position of hold, you should be fine just to pull out your hands and bash. There's no need to spend an extra card that can be put somewhere else when the solution to the issue is just so simple as to press a different button and you'll be fine. So I personally don't think that is necessary in a melee deck. Also, if your teammates are walking through you when you're doing a normal holdout, I'm sorry to say, they're idiots. They deserve to be punished for their actions. if you're being stupid and you're not punished for actions, unless they're really critical about themselves, they're not going to learn. So just don't worry about it. If they run through you, just try and punch. They'll be fine. They'll all be good. And if you hurt them, you'll heal them up with Vanguard, so they can't really complain. Now, going into the cards of this, we start out with our economy cards. This is a melee deck that is able to actually use economy cards because of just how efficient it is, how it works out. So with that being said, we start off with the best copper card in the game, Copper Scavenger. You can sense nearby copper, more copper piles spawn. The reason I say this is the best copper card in the game is because the fact that it spawns 2 piles of 50, which is 400 total for the team, and it allows you to loot through stuff faster. Be aware, the point of this game is to get to the finish line. And something that happens throughout the levels is special spawn, common spawn, bosses spawn, and so being able to go through and loot everything quickly and then regroup with your team, spending very little time having to worry about, oh, we're going to loot over here, check all the different spots. And instead, if you can go in and instantly see where it is through wall hacks, it's significantly better and faster. It's going to have an impact on not only giving you 400 team copper, but also increasing the speed of your gameplay, which will be significant. Also, not to mention, it allows you to pick up more copper piles. So it's not only that 400 bonus, but it's the bonus of every other copper pile that you would have missed or your team would have missed. I think if my quick play games have anything to say, people miss copper piles all the time. Having this will severely help them. Next, we have Lucky Pennies. Whenever you or your team loots copper, you have a 35% chance to find 100% additional copper. With this being said, this is currently as a 4-stack or a 3-stack, a really good card to bring that boosts your copper economy significantly. If you are running with a group of randoms that don't want to have copper cards, instead picking money grubbers will be best for bringing in economy for the team. Feel free to do with that what you will, but I highly recommend if you can get people to run this, they'll be just bringing in that much more money, and it's really good. Next, we're going into the melee cards, starting out with the staple melee card of Meth Head. Each swing grants 5% melee speed and 5% melee stamina efficiency for 6 seconds, stacking up to 10 times. Disables ADS. This is a really good melee card, bringing you to 50% stamina efficiency for your melee attacks and 50% attack speed. We really like that. That extra attack speed is really going to be bringing in those extra attacks, making it so that stuff slips through you significantly less. And also the efficiency means that you can be swinging twice as much for the same amount of efficiency. It's just a really good staple card that you want in all your melee decks. Have it be noted that when you are running this, you can bash while you're in downtime to keep your melee stacks up so that you don't have to expend all that stamina during a horde to bring it back up to 10 stacks to get that attack speed, to get that stamina efficiency. Highly recommend. Just get used to the habit of bashing once every few seconds just to keep those stacks up. Next we have Brazen. Plus 15% melee stamina efficiency, plus 20% melee attack speed, with the same being said for the bow. Take note, currently in this patch, as of December, it is bugged, where the bow stamina efficiency stacks with the melee stamina efficiency. So instead this is 30% rather than 15%. I'm not really a big fan of these bugs, but unfortunately that is how it is of current. So, we'll enjoy it while it lasts, but don't get used to it. It's going to go away. TRS definitely knows about this. So, with that being said, this is a deck that is made for the game that is working, and the Brazen and Slugger cards, either of them are interchangeable with each other, are not working properly. That will be addressed with our next card here, Adrenaline Fueled. When you kill an enemy, gain 5 stamina instantly, and an additional 7 stamina over 7 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. Now, if you want to abuse it as it is currently, you can replace this Adrenaline Fueled here for Slugger and maintain a 100% melee attack stamina efficiency by just doing that in combination with those other cards. But I don't recommend that you get used to that. I recommend instead that you get used to kind of what it's supposed to be and using Adrenaline Fueled, not abusing that bug. So keep Adrenaline Fueled in, else if you're fine with it, feel free to take Slugger. It doesn't really matter. This is essentially just how we're going to be keeping our stamina up the entire time. We're just swinging through commons, getting those kills. Plenty of kills, plenty of stamina. You'll be fine. To complement our melee, we want to have some healing in here to sustain ourselves. To start that off, we have EMT Bag. Plus 50% healing efficiency. Really quick and simple. This affects the healing efficiency from our other cards in the deck, Vanguard and Battle Lust, along with the trauma healing from Battle Lust. And it's just generally the best healing efficiency card in the game. We want to spec into it. And it also affects the Resonant Metals attachment for the melee weapons. That is the melee attachment that we want to be taking. And so if we can really keep our health sustain up, we're going to be working at this and essentially being unkillable the entire time. Now that we have our healing efficiency, we want to start doing some healing. We're going to do that with Vanguard. So melee kills heal 1 health to yourself and teammates within 10 meters. Your teammates will love you for this. Getting that 1.5 healing done every time that you get a kill, that's great. You're going to be loving it too, because that's bringing in 1.5 healing to yourself. Very nice. You're going to be making your medic's job just that much easier. They don't have to worry about healing up people's chip damage nearly as much with your Vanguard here. It's a lovely team card. It's a lovely card that also benefits you. We're going to go and do some more healing with our next card being Battle Lust. Melee kills heal 1 health and 0.125 trauma. Or in this case, it's going to be boosted by our EMT Bag to a 50% bonus of whatever these values are. That being said, normal melees that you see around are running temp HP melee. This is using trauma resist melee, so that trauma value of 0.125 is going to be used much more effectively in this build than the other builds out there. We're going to be keeping our trauma healing high and just allowing ourselves to have a much greater buffer of HP than your average temp HP melee. Melee is all about sustainability, and if you don't have enough health, you can't really be sustainable. But too often I see people bleeding at 40 max HP as melee that has hundreds and hundreds of HP. In fact, I even saw that earlier today when I was doing quick play. So please do yourself a favor. Let's protect this trauma together. Going into that, we have wooden armor. Plus 30% trauma resistance, minus 100% fire resistance. Okay. Taking double damage from fire? That's a joke. When I was playing melee, the amount of damage that I was taking from fire was very little when compared to other damage sources. So that doesn't really matter. What matters here is the trauma resistance. We're going to be using that very effectively here in combination with our other items. We have next body armor. More trauma resistance, plus 20%, bringing that bonus up to 50%. I'm going to go into the math of how trauma resistance works here at the end. So don't worry about that. You'll find out something that's really interesting here that most people don't know unless you're a part of the Back for Stats Discord. I'd like to thank Sibs very much for helping me out with that. Our next two cards here are going to be Durable, which is plus 15% trauma resist, plus 10 HP, plus 20% fire resist. So extra trauma resist we care about a lot. Health, that's nice to have. We're going to be using that. Fire resist, we're bringing it down to 80% bonus. That's that's not really that much of a difference. Plus, you're not really taking that much of fire damage. You're fine. Last trauma resistance card that we have in this deck is Fanny Pack. Plus 1 support inventory, plus 15% trauma resistance. Alright, extra support slot, very nice. We're here for the 15% trauma resist though. That's exactly what we need. Very good. We need that trauma resistance. We want to stack as much of it as we can. Our next card here is Spikey Bits. Plus 15 melee damage, plus 20% damage resistance while using a melee weapon, and minus 15% ammo capacity. Alright, this melee damage will not only affect your weapon, but it'll also affect your fists. So your fists will be doing 16 damage per hit, allowing you to effectively use them even against monstrous commons when you are working with a teammate that is trying to run through you. So you can, only with a few hits, take down those commons with your fists, and it even works better with your other weapons that are going to be one-shotting these commons. And do we have to worry about ammo capacity or melee? No, it doesn't really matter. We're not using ammo that much. But the 20% damage resistance while using a melee weapon is the most consistent and best damage resistance card in the game for us here. It's just so good. This is another one of those staple cards that is really going to bump up our tankiness and allow us to use these faster hitting, lower damage weapons very effectively. To continue with our tankiness, we have Motorcyle Helmet. Plus 15% damage resistance, plus 10 HP, disables ADS. Oh no, we already disabled ADS, doesn't matter. 15% DR, very nice, plus 10 HP. We'll use that. Just another good DR card, no downsides, love to see it. Our last card here is our Flex card. It is Heavy Hitter. Melee hits always stumble-ridden the first time they are hit. This effect can only occur once per target. So, with this being said, this is essentially a free, resourceless way of stumbling the mutations that come to you, allowing your team to have extra time to kill those mutations because they have to worry about walking up to you, being hit by you, stumbled back, dealing with that whole stumble animation, walking towards you again. You're gaining a lot of value by having a stumble in here. It's very nice, and it's resourceless. Another recommended card that I would have for you if you're in a stacked team is running Sonic Disruptor. So, emit a pulse that deals heavy stumble damage to nearby enemies and has a chance to knock off armor. Gadget costs 75 pistol ammo and replaces the offensive slot. This here is a relatively expensive way to do it, but it's a lot of fun. It allows you to stumble the stuff that's coming at you. So if you're running with a team that isn't really using pistol ammo, which shouldn't be that many teams, this should work out well for you, because even though it's very expensive, no one else is going to be running it, and it allows you to stumble multiple things multiple times. I like the card, but it's definitely interchangeable with Heavy Hitter here, so feel free to run it. With that being said, this last slot here really is kind of the flex spot. Same with Motorcycle Helmet, that's another flex spot. Feel free to throw in the cards that you'd like for these last two if you think they're going to have greater value. I recommend changing up the deck to fit your needs. And while that is said, I also recommend that you try and stick to the core of the deck. The core of the deck still being that trauma resist deck. By keeping that trauma resist high, that allows you to keep yourself in a very healthy position, which is what we want. Now, I said I was going to go over these trauma calcs, but let's go over the cleaner that we really need for this deck to work out almost twice as effectively, and that is Doc. The cleaner Doc, she has plus 20% team trauma resistance. With that, this stacks additively with our other cards. Now, for those people that have been doing the math in their head, they're going to be like, wait a second. Doesn't that add up to above the damage resistance cap? For you folks out there, good observation. Because of how no hope trauma resistance is calculated. Here, let me pull out the calculator. So, over here, No Hope starts with a negative 30% trauma resistance. Nightmare starts with a negative 20%, and Veteran starts with a 0% trauma resistance modifier. So, we're out here with a negative 30% trauma resistance. We're going to add 20% trauma resistance from Doc's card, so plus 20%. We're down here. Now let's go back. While we're around, let me just show you extra padding as a heads up. This does not stack with the other cards additively. Instead, it is multiplicative. We'll go into that later. Don't worry about it. But essentially, just multiply our value by this, and you'll get it, instead of being additive, like the melee cards here, the deck cards. So now we are around with the calculator. Our first is wooden armor. So let's add 30% here. Okay, currently we have 20% trauma resist. Body armor, another 20%. Awesome. Durable and Fanny Pack, plus 15% from both of them. And there we are. We're at 70% trauma resistance. This is a really high chunk of trauma resistance, allows us to take a lot of damage but not take that much trauma. With that all being said, thank you very much for watching to the end of the video. I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me that people are willing to go and learn this stuff. Stick around and watch the math. That really kind of fills my heart to see that people are willing to continue to learn about this game even though it's a year old. With that being said, if you all want to see my builds first and see my testing of it, especially with the quick play decks that I'm going to be coming out with soon, feel free to hop on over to my Twitch here. That is Tiberius_the_Roman. Here I go and stream quite a bit. We do streaming of No Hope. A large chunk of it is going into quick play or playing with my buddies. On occasion, we do some trial streams. Here's also where I streamed the run that we did to get to the top 10 of the leaderboards for trials. With that, I'd like to once again thank you all for coming out here. Really appreciate that you guys are willing to watch to the end of the video. Thank you. You have a good one.